As every avid reader knows, some months we make excellent reading choices and some months our choices are not so good. Thankfully for me, February was a month of excellent reading choices. Well, mostly. Let's get into it in my reading journal. We'll update my trackers and statistics pages for February, make review pages for all the books I finished, and add some tracking pages for March so I'm ready for the next month too. Hi, I'm Erin. Let's talk books. It's truly one of my favourite things to talk about. I'm working in my B5 T-Fosi leaf and texture notebook, and depending on the month and how busy I'm feeling, sometimes I'll go through and set up my reading journal in stages throughout the month to make it a bit more manageable, but for this one I did everything in one go. We're starting out by adding book covers to my list of all of the books that I've read this year, just popping them in place. I'm not going to do anything with the star ratings yet because I need to make their review pages to really finalise that information. And I have an announcement to make. I have just released these 4 sticker sheets on my website, and they're available for purchase right now. They're digital download files, so you download the file and you can print it out yourself at home as many as you like, as frequently as you like, and if you have a cutting machine, you can cut them into Kiss Cut stickers as well. This is the titles and ratings sheet, so it has 2 sets of rating titles based on the ones I use in my own reading journal, and a whole stack of star rating stickers too. I cut this one out on my Cricut, but you could just use scissors if you don't have access to a cutting machine. This next one is all about the pie charts that I use in my reading journal too, and the headings on this one are designed specifically around what's available in the Storygraph stats. So there are a few titles here that I actually don't track in my own journal, but maybe you do. Next up we have the book data sticker sheet. This one's designed to go on your individual book review pages, so you always have the most important information on every page, like format, source, date started and finished, and date of first publication. And this one might be my favourite. These are format stickers. They're tiny little circle stickers that you can use to indicate the format you read your book in, physical, digital, or audio. There are stacks of them on this sheet, so even if you're a really fast reader, this sheet will last you a little while. Because they're a digital download, you can reprint them as many times as you want to, so you can just buy it once and use it forever. And I'll be using them throughout this video so you can get an idea of how they work. I'll have them linked in the description. So let's start out by adding my format stickers to my list of books read for the year. I'm just adding it to the very top left corner of each one of my book covers, and I love that there's going to be so much data packed onto this spread at the end of the year when it's all filled in. The next spread is for my Page Majors book club. We read a book together every month and then have a little chat to talk about it. It's members only though, so you need to be a Page Majors level channel member to access the book club. And we do all of our discussing over on Discord. Our March book is Circe by Madeline Miller. Shout out to Becca for suggesting that one for us. We're reading that one at the moment, and for April we're going to be reading The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, so big shout out to Millie for suggesting this one. Onward to my February tracking pages, and if you like the look of anything that I've used in these pages, please check out last month's video so you can get all of the links to that stationery if you want to. I usually use a star rating stamp, and I love it. I still have it, but it's falling apart at the moment. I've glued it back together before. I need to do that again. So I'm just using my star rating stickers this time instead because I already have them ready. Why not? I set myself a little mini 3-book TBR kind of at the beginning of the month. I don't really love the term TBR, but I've set some intentions to read 3 books, and I did end up reading all 3 of them, and then another 3, and started one more. So those are all the book covers on the page. I've grabbed out 4 pink Tombow Jewel brush pens, and I'm going to use those to mark the start and end dates of each of those books read on my calendar. I do typically read every day, but I don't always read every book that I have going every day. I tend to have an ebook and an audiobook on the go at the same time. But that doesn't mean I'm necessarily listening to part of the audiobook every day or reading part of the ebook every day that is represented on this calendar. I really just care about the start and end date, so I'm not putting kind of breaks in the line for the days that I didn't read. I don't track that. I don't really mind if I don't have that information. I mentioned Storygraph earlier. It's the app I use to track my reading, so I get all of my data from Storygraph and just kind of disseminate it into my reading journal. And my Storygraph is linked in the description if you want to be friends over there. I know the calendar it generates for you at the end of the month does represent that information. If there were days that you didn't log that you read part of a book, it considers that to be not tracking that day, but I don't know, it just doesn't work for me that way. I'm just like, I started it this day, I ended it this day. That'll do, you know, because I'm not using this information for anything. I just think it's interesting to look at, and I think it's visually quite enjoyable, and that's enough for me to have it in my journal. might notice I haven't added a star rating sticker under the last book cover on the right there. That's because I didn't finish this book in February, so it's not getting a rating until the March setup. That's my February reading dashboard fully updated, so we can move on to book reviews now. Just a little FYI, I will never give you spoilers in the voiceovers for my book reviews, but there will probably be some spoilers in my written reviews on the page, so don't read those if you don't want spoilers. We're starting out with a review spread for Hemlock and Silver by Kingfisher, which was our Page Majors book club read for February. Shout out to Natalie for suggesting this one. I'll try to link to as much of the stationery that I'm using as possible in the description. Some things maybe aren't available anymore though. Unfortunately, I know the green text tape that I'm using here is no longer available because that one's from Paper Monogatari and their store is closed at the moment, but the other tape is from Notebook Therapy. That one is still available as part of a set with a traveler's notebook, the Secret Garden set. And sadly, that black tape with the pattern on I got from Journal Say, but it's disappeared. It's not there anymore. So bit of a mixed bag here. I have been trying to use up my stash, and that means more and more things are becoming unavailable, and I'm continuing to use them. And I know that's frustrating for you, so thank you for bearing with me. These letter stickers are also from Paper Monogatari, so you can't get those right now either, but when the store is back, you will be able to. I love a serif letter sticker like these, they're so versatile. These ones don't have any punctuation though, so I had to do my own ampersand separately on some sticker paper and cut it out so it sort of looks like the rest of the words. It's not perfect, but it'll do the job. When we read a book together for the Page Majors Book Club, we have some discussion questions that we use to guide our discussion about the book, and I like to include those in my reading journal as well as my own kind of little blurb about the story. I had forgotten that last month though, so for our reading journal spread for our January book, I only gave myself one page and it wasn't enough room in this B5, so this time I've given myself a double page spread. When I used a B5 journal back in 2024, I also used to do this. I had just forgotten. Last year I used a really big 9x9-inch square journal, and it actually functioned very differently to the B5, so I'm relearning how I like to do things in B5 journals. That square was just a little bit too big for me, I think. I definitely prefer the B5 for myself, but I have a letter-sized Archer and Olive journal on my shelf that I haven't worked out a purpose for yet, and if I thought the 9x9 journal was too big, what am I ever going to do with that? So Hemlock and Silver, if you haven't read any Kingfisher yet and you enjoy very accessible, very witty fantasy with a little bit of a horror twist, you're missing out. This was my third Kingfisher book that I've read, and I have enjoyed the experience for all of them. This one particularly I thought was a lot of fun. And I'm not a horror fan at all, so it can't be too horrific for me to be having a good time with it. In this story, we're following our 30-something heroine, love to see it, her name is Anya. She's been hired by the king to work out what is wrong with his daughter because she appears to be being poisoned, but they can't work out by what. This book is actually a very loose reimagining of the story of Snow White, but it really takes that fairy tale and turns it on its head, so don't go in expecting something along those lines. It's kind of just taking the symbolism of Snow White, I guess, and using it in a really different way, and some of the character names too, I guess. So there are magic mirrors. They function very differently to the mirror in the Snow White story, but they're fascinating, which is why I'm kind of making some DIY mirrors on the page here with some frames and a silver marker. And I always think any story can be improved by the addition of a cat. There is a cat in this book too, and he'll get his own sticker in a little while. What I really love about the way Kingfisher writes is that she's able to blend some really serious and dark and heavy topics with humour. She is so funny. Her writing is wonderful. Anya, our protagonist in this book, is hilarious. And it's told from a first-person perspective, so you're inside Anya's head, and her inner monologue is just fascinating to me. I did this one on audiobook, and I also thought the narrator did a really good job. It was just such an easy read, such an easy book to listen to. I felt like it passed really quickly. Of course, different people will have different experiences with books. Some of my page majors didn't have the same kind of experience that I had. So naturally, all of my opinions that I give you about books in this video are just my own, and if you had a different experience to me, I think that's actually fascinating. Let's talk about it. And if you did want to talk about books with me and with the rest of my page majors, here is a QR code you can scan in case you want to find out more about my channel memberships. All the books are suggested by page majors members, and we vote on the book we're going to choose each month over in the Discord server. And I'd love to have you with us if you were keen to check it out. I was too lazy in this moment to re-ink two of my pens that I was having some trouble with, my Tom Studio Lumos and my Tom Studio Ren, so I'm switching to a Pigma Micron because I did not want to get up from my desk. I'm using my Peach rating scale to work out my star rating for this book. If you're not familiar with that, here is a link to my video about my rating system that I came up with for myself, and you can use too if you want to. You should know that I'm the kind of person who almost never gives out perfect scores, so just for context about me, I'm giving this one 4.2 out of 5, which I'm rounding up to 4.25, because none of the book rating apps or anything let you do anything smaller than a quarter-star rating, which is fine, I don't need them to. Sometimes when things get a little bit busy, or if I've read more than usual in a month, or if I didn't super love a book or I don't feel like I have the right stationery for it, I will do a much more minimal book review page, and that's what we're setting up here. This kind of thing takes a lot less time than doing individually kind of decorated pages for book reviews. I really enjoy my individually decorated book review pages, obviously, or I wouldn't continue doing them, but this kind of thing is great if you don't have a lot of time. You could do an entire journal of these and that would be amazing, especially if you're someone who doesn't have enough time to make a more decorated reading journal. Like, this is totally valid. I'm going to add 2 book reviews to this page, but we're only going to fill in the first one to start with. This is Some Kind of Famous by Ava Wilder. And it was not quite my cup of tea. It wasn't bad by any means, but I didn't have a great time with this book. It was kind of just okay. I actually received this one in a book subscription that I am testing out for an upcoming video, and the cover is gorgeous, so I was kind of excited about it based on that, but I finished this one on the 10th of February, and I really genuinely haven't thought about it since, except for writing this review, and I really struggled to even remember the character's name, so that's not a great sign, is it? It's a small town romance, it's kind of a celebrity romance. The couple in this one are also a little bit older, they're in their 30s, I think. The writing was fine, the story was fine, I just didn't feel like I connected with it. At the end of the story, I didn't really care about what happened to the characters, and it's one of those rom-coms where I don't think they'll genuinely stay together in the long term, so that's never a really good time. But if you're into spicy things, I actually think the spicy scenes in this story were some of the best written parts of it, so that's interesting. I gave it 3.3 out of 5, so kind of lukewarm, but like not terrible. Let's flip back to my reading dashboard page for February and colour in the star rating here and make sure that I have all of that information recorded all on one page. I really like to have it all together on one page. And now we can talk about a book that I enjoyed a whole lot more. This one is actually a reread, and I don't reread things very often at all. I have to really, really love something to reread it. This one has a little bit of a story behind it, I guess. So this book is Forging Silver into Stars by Brigid Kemmerer. I received it in a book subscription that I tried out last year, and it was really the only book I received out of 3 that I really liked at all, and I loved it. I loved it so much the whole subscription was worth it to bring me to this book, and to this author who has really quickly become one of my favourite authors. This is the first book in a trilogy, but this trilogy is a follow-up to a previous trilogy called the Cursebreaker series. And when I first started reading this the first time around, it was really obvious to me that there were things going on behind the scenes that I didn't know about, that there were all of these characters with a backstory already. But I had such a good time with this book that after I read this one, I went back and read the entire Cursebreaker series last year. And then I went on to read the Defy the Night series, which is another fantasy trilogy by Brigid Kemmerer, and it was also phenomenal. And I decided it was finally time to come back to this one, because the third book in this trilogy just came out in February, so they're all available now, I can carry on. But it had been about a year, so I wanted to reread this one so I had all of the context fresh in my mind, and I had forgotten things, so I'm really glad I did that. It's a fantasy romance. It is very unusually told from 3 points of view. The story takes place in a fantasy world where 2 kingdoms have recently been united through marriage, but the people of those kingdoms aren't necessarily on board. Brigid Kemmerer is incredible at creating really nuanced and really complex political situations in her stories where it's not always clear who the bad guys are. It's really just people doing the best they can with the information that they have. And I feel like you don't get a lot of that in fantasy. It's usually really clear who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, and we're fighting against evil and good prevails, whereas in this situation, it's kind of just people trying to make the best decisions that they can. This story particularly has disability representation. It's a queer love story. We've got characters represented both above and below the poverty line. We've got some amazing mythical beasts. We've got magic. It's really got everything that I like in a fantasy story. And I am so pumped to be finally continuing this series. I want to read everything Brigid Kemmerer has ever written. And on that, we're going to make a page to track all of the Brigid Kemmerer books in a little while, but for now, let's just stick to the book reviews. I'm giving this one 4.75. That makes it technically my top-rated read for the month of February, but because it's a reread, I'm a little bit dubious on whether I should count it as my top read in some of the places where I'm tracking that kind of thing. I'll have a think about it before we go back to those pages. In the meantime, let's carry on with our book review pages. So we've done 3 now. That means I'm halfway through my book reviews for the month. This next one I'm going to use some fountain pen ink because I didn't really feel like I had anything that was a really good fit for this book. This one is a little sample of the Pelikan Edelstein Golden Lapis ink, which is this beautiful, rich kind of royal blue that has this amazing gold shimmer that just kind of appears as it dries. My friend Jackie just gave me this sample at a fountain pen meetup like last weekend, so perfect timing. Thanks, Jackie. It is absolutely perfect for this book. Funnily enough, this was also a book I received in a book subscription, although not the same one that I got Some Kind of Famous from. And I didn't have a great hit rate with this book subscription. I'll have a dedicated video about it coming soon. It's one that's available to my Aussie pals. This one I probably enjoyed the most of the 3 books that I received for the 3 months that I was subscribed, but it was still kind of just lukewarm for me. There was a strong magical element in the book though, and the book cover is blue and gold, so I thought I would just imitate that with this ink. I thought that worked out quite nicely. Oh, I haven't told you the name of the book yet, have I? It's Modern Divination by Isabel Agajanian. I actually considered doing one of my minimal review pages for this one, but because I had this ink, it was just such a good fit. I was like, well, let's give it a page and make it pretty, even though it wasn't my favourite. And I was already using some rose gold for a different project with my Cricut, so I went ahead and cut the title out of this as well. But I got this rose gold vinyl from Kmart a while ago, and it's not great. It's really, really kind of thin and finicky, so I didn't have a great time working with this. I ended up just using it essentially as stickers. I tried it with transfer tape for my other project and that didn't really work, so I tried it with washi tape in the journal and that didn't really work. You really just have to peel each individual bit with some tweezers and stick it down where you want it, which is a bit more tedious than it's supposed to be. Anyway, here's the book cover. You see what I was going for, right? It is a gorgeous book cover. This one's got magical dark academia vibes. It's set in England, it's partially set at Cambridge. It also has a rivals to lovers storyline, but it falls a bit more towards the contemporary literary fiction kind of writing than the more casual writing that I think I personally prefer. I just found this book a little bit dry. It felt like it took itself really seriously, and maybe it didn't need to. If you enjoyed The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown or Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Tors, you would probably also enjoy this story. I did this one on audiobook and it just did not draw me in. There was also something really strange with the structure of the story where I felt like we hit the climax of the book at about 75% of the way in, and then there was this 25% left over at the end where it was just interpersonal things after this big, magical, powerful run-in with the big bad, and I just didn't know what to do with that. It was just a bit strange. I didn't feel like it was poorly written. I've definitely read worse. I gave this one 3.2 stars. Let's move on to a book that I was very much anticipating and it did not let me down. This one is for And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. I will read anything this woman puts out into the world. I love her writing, I love her characters, I love how every single one of the books she has released so far feels like a warm hug from a friend. And the book that precedes this one, First Time Caller, was one of my top reads of 2025, so I definitely went in with some high expectations for this one. I think I prefer First Time Caller just a little bit more than this one, but it's a close race. And I do really appreciate that this book gave me an opportunity to use these snowy scenery stickers because, my goodness, we do not get weather like this in Australia. These are from the washi tape shops like Christmas and winter release last year. And you can actually still get both of these, which is nice. One roll has these vignettes that are the perfect width for a B5 page, which is very convenient. And the other roll has individual elements like little trees and reindeers and stuff. And you can get them in a bundle, which is cool. And I have a discount code with the washi tape shop. If you like the look of them and you want to get them or something else for yourself, you can use my code ErinSmith10 and get 10% off. So this is the second book in the Heartstrings series, which is a series of books set around this radio station and TV station in Baltimore. In this book, And Now Back to You, we follow our two protagonists. Delilah is a weather forecaster on television, and Jackson is a radio meteorologist, so they do the same job, but they have very different opinions about life and all of the things. Their studios share a car park, so they have had some run-ins in the past. Delilah is kind of a hot mess, and Jackson is very buttoned up and rigid, but they get assigned to cover a snowstorm together, and forced proximity is a wonderful thing, and they end up getting to know each other. Of course they do. I ran out of stickers to do the author's name here. I'm having to be a bit creative with the spelling of Borison, using some R's and Q's and things, and using a marker to turn them into the letters that I actually wanted. I love those letter stickers though. They're from Lace and Whimsy Studio. They're so cute. V.K. Borison's worlds that she builds in each of her stories, the Love Light series before this, and now the Heartstring series, really feel like catching up with old friends to me. Her books have so much heart. I love that her characters are soft, that they have trauma and insecurities, and they still love so hard. There is a compassion and a delicateness to her writing that I don't find in a lot of other contemporary romance. It's just, she's so special to me. I also really appreciated the winter escape that this book provided me, because down here in the Southern Hemisphere, we've just come out of summer, like February is the end of summer, and I was well over the weather, so it was nice to pretend to be cold for a little while. I gave this one 4.6 stars, so I'm rounding that to 4.5, just because that's neater, which makes it my second highest rated book of February. Let's get back to these minimal review pages. I've got one more to go here. And a big shout out to Kat for suggesting this one. I asked my channel members for suggestions for sci-fi books because I did this kind of sci-fi theme for February, and I wanted to make sure there was a sci-fi book to go along with it. And this was the one that Kat suggested. It's Alive by Scott Sigler. It's a YA story. I think this one came out in 2015, and I can't really tell you anything about it because if you go in knowing anything about the book, I think it would ruin the experience, and Kat told me that too, and I completely agree. She recommended this one as an eyeball read. I actually did it on audiobook, but I still thought it was a wonderful time. A bit confronting, quite dark, a bit violent as well. We're following a girl who wakes up on the morning of her 12th birthday locked in a coffin with a lot of her memories missing. There are a bunch of other kids in the same situation, and I really can't tell you any more than that, but it is gripping, it is thrilling. You spend the whole book going, what is going on? And the book finishes in a really interesting and poignant place as well, so I will definitely be continuing this series. I gave it 4.3 on my Peach rating scale, so rounding that down to 4.25, bringing that information back to my reading dashboard spread, and that's everything I read in February. I did start on the follow-up to Forging Silver into Stars. It's called Carving Shadows into Gold, and I didn't finish it within the month, so we'll talk about that one next month. For now, let's take it back to the trackers at the beginning of the journal. I like to have my star ratings here as well, so I'm just going to copy those over from my dashboard. It's actually amazing how much data I have on this spread now. In my previous reading journals, I've just done a list, just literally written down the title and author in the order that I finish them for each of the books that I read in the year, but I'm really enjoying this visual representation. I have some updates to make to my series tracker, so we're going to jump over there. This is a little spoiler for next month, but I have already finished reading Carving Shadows into Gold. And over here on my book bingo, I can colour in the science fiction square because I read Alive by Scott Sigler. Over on the next page, I have a page just for tracking my favourite book of each month. I didn't have a spare book cover already printed, but this one's going to be Forging Silver into Stars, I've decided. And when I first set up my reading journal, I left a lot of empty pages because I do often think of trackers that I want to add once I start using the journal, so I built in a lot of flexibility for myself. This one is going to be my author tracker spread for Brigid Kemmerer's books. And she's got a lot of books. I've only read from her fantasy offering so far, but she also has some YA paranormal romance and just straight up romance, I think. I got all my information for this tracker from Goodreads, and I've penciled it out first, but I don't want to forget the names of things just kind of moving top to bottom, so sometimes I'm going to fill things out from the bottom of a section instead of from the top. I'm not treating this like any kind of challenge, but sometimes I will be thinking what my next read should be, and it's nice to have things to refer back to, like my maybe next page, which is just a list of things that people have suggested to me or that I've seen and I think look interesting. So when I'm thinking what should I read this month, I can flip back to this page and go, which Brigid Kemmerers have I not read yet? Where am I up to in her series? What have I got to be working with? I don't plan to treat this as any kind of challenge, like I'm not going to try and read all of them this year or anything like that. I just like the idea of having a page with all of them together so that I have that information when I need it, and I've never done an author tracker before, so I thought it would be interesting to try it out. I have messed up the spacing a little bit in some of the areas, but that really doesn't matter to me. I'm not that bothered by it. It still functions, so I don't care. that I have all of her books listed out, I can colour in the boxes for the ones I've read. So far, I have read all of the Cursebreaker series, all of the Defy the Night series. I think Defy the Night is my favourite of her series so far, it's so good. And of course Forging Silver, and you know I've finished Carving Shadows as well, but that's just between us. I'm crossing off a few books from my maybe next list because I have indeed read those ones too. And then we can flip over to my Year of Goober tracker, which is the Goobers Who Read Year-Long Challenge. There are 2 prompts for every month, and technically your book only needs to satisfy one of them, but my book for February satisfies both categories. It does indeed both have a colourful cover and romance, so I specifically printed a tiny book cover to go on the bookshelf. Now we can update my reading stats for the month of February. As I mentioned, I pull these straight out of Storygraph, so as long as you're using the app and updating it to show the correct formats and the dates that you start and finish and everything, it will just spit these out for you at the end of the month. I read 6 books in February, a total of 1,478 pages and 34.7 hours listened. On average, it took me 8 days to finish a book. And the genres I read within in February were romance, fantasy, LGBTQIA+, young adult, contemporary, and science fiction. My average rating for the month was 4.13, which is pretty good. Hard to colour in on a star rating stamp though. And because I added Forging Silver into stars on my Book of the Month spread back at the beginning, I thought I'd be diplomatic and go with a book that wasn't a reread for my standout book. So my standout book for February is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. But I didn't plan the layout very well and the book cover wasn't going to fit, so I had to move my genre heading down below the list of genres, but that's okay. My book formats were a 50-50 split this month between audio and digital, and since I didn't read any non-fiction this month, it is a 100% fiction month on this pie chart. The library one is a little tricky to work out. I have to do that one myself. And it's really hard to do in months like this where I was reading books through the library that I also have a physical copy of because of a book subscription, so it's a little unclear, but I'm going with this. 1/3 library and 2/3 bought for this month, which is not my usual ratio. That's it for my February stats. We're all set up with all of these pages now, so let's go forward and set up some of these tracker pages for March. We're going to have a very different theme. I'm using 2 tapes from the washi tape shop for this one. This is the Petals en Blanc wired PET tape. It's quite frosted for a PET, so it's not super shiny. This is one of those continuous loop kind of tapes. It's not a sticker tape, so I'm using it to make some columns on the left and right side. I'm actually reverting to an old layout that I used to do in my previous B5 journal. I had a look through it recently and I thought, oh, that works really well. I should try that again and see if it still works really well. So my left page will be my cover page for March and the right page will be for my reading stats. I'm not doing waterfall tabs this time. It's been a while since I had a non-waterfall tab set up for a new month in my reading journal, but it's nice to do something different and mix it up. And the other tape I'm using is the pre-cut Zephyr Bloom wide washi tape, also from the washi tape shop. This is one of their new spring releases and it's gorgeous. Soft muted greens, it's got some yellows in there. It actually has quite a few butterflies, but I think these are quite pretty butterflies, and I think Mitsu agrees, my lovely cat. I'm not super into butterflies on stationery, in case we haven't had this conversation before. I just feel like they're a little bit overdone. So are flowers, but I like flowers a lot, so I go back to those a lot. But I like the butterflies on this tape. I think they're nice subtle butterflies, you know, and there are some dragonflies too, which makes me really happy. And I got this little booklet of green frame notepaper a while ago from Journal Say, and it appears you can still get it, which is nice because quite often their stuff disappears pretty quickly. I'm adding my March header in those same letter stickers from Paper Monogatari that I used earlier, placing them as well spaced as I can. I tried to do the R right in the center of the piece of paper. Thankfully the design helps you to do that. I tore the C, that's a bit annoying, but I just pieced it back together. This is going to be the focal point of the left page, and we'll add some more decoration all around too. The right page here is going to be all about my reading stats for the month. I'm going to fit them all onto this one because I don't really need that much space. I'm going to be using some of my reading stats stickers from my 2 reading stats sticker sheets that you can now get through my website store. In the past, I've made stickers for my headings for this anyway because I typically am printing a lot of book covers and making stickers of those in the lead up to working on my reading journal. So sometimes I'll make them a specific font or something to match with headers, but this time I really liked the clean sans serif of these stickers, so I just matched that with the letter stickers from Paper Monogatari, and it does look kind of cohesive, don't you think? I think letter stamps would work really well too, like those typewriter letter stamps that a lot of us have would also tie in really nicely because they're also kind of a serif font. Since I didn't leave myself enough space for a full-size book cover for my standout book last month, I thought I'd use a little template, this Circe sticker that I'm not actually going to place here because March isn't over yet. I'm just using it for size so I have enough room there. And if you're curious, I like to make my larger book cover stickers 7 centimeters tall and my smaller book cover stickers 3.5 centimeters tall, so that gives you a bit of an idea of how much space they take up on the page. And if you're curious about how I do make my book cover stickers, I have a video about that you can check out too. And that's our reading stats page just about all set up, so we can move on to our next spread now. This one's going to be that monthly dashboard, but rather than having the calendar cross the center of the binding this time, I'm going to have it on its own page on the right and have all of my book covers and star ratings on their own separate page on the left. This is also inspired by my own previous journal. This is how I used to do it in 2024 when I was in my previous B5 journal, but I was reading something like 10 to 13 books a month at that time, and I'm definitely not reading that many now, so I might not stick with this setup. It might be too much space, we'll have to see, but I thought I'd try it out for a month or two and just find out how I like it now. I'm pretty happy with my decoration for this spread, so all I need now is titles and some book covers for the books I'm pretty confident that I'll be reading in March. I won't put something down here unless there's a really solid chance I'll be reading it. So my mini TBR, maybe next books I might read in March currently includes Carving Shadows into Gold, which I've told you I've already finished, so that one has every right to be there. Circe by Madeline Miller, because it is our book club read for March. And Well Actually by Maisie Eddings, because that is another one of my BookBox books that I am testing out, so that one's probably going to get a go too. For consistency, I'm using the same letter stickers from earlier so everything looks nice and cohesive. And then we've covered everything I read in February and we're all set for March, which means we can have a flip through everything that we've done from February onwards. Now you've heard all about the books I read in February, I want to know about the books you read in February. It's your turn. What did you love? What did you not enjoy? What are you still thinking about halfway into March? Have you read any of the books that I talked about in this video? And if so, what did you think of them? Was it along similar lines to me, or did you have a completely different opinion? All opinions are valid and I do want to hear them, even if you hated a book that I loved. I just think it's so interesting to talk about. I make a video about my reading journal just like this one every single month, so I'll be back to yap about my March reads really soon. And I'll be sprinkling in a couple of other reading related videos, obviously a couple of book boxes coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to keep talking about books right now, here is a playlist of all of my reading journal videos so far this year. And right under that is a link to another video YouTube thinks you might have a good time with. Happy March reading!